Welcome back to the Great Imposters Podcast.
Welcome back.
It's a balmy, freezing first day of spring.
Yes, spring has gone away in Nashville. So today we have Tiffany Gifford. I met Tiffany at Vanessa's gym, Strength Sanctuary. And I have kind of just been a fangirl forever. Yeah. And so we're so excited to have you on. And we were just talking before we started the episode about how this is kind of part of a trilogy because once the listeners hear this, we will have released our episode on our body image survey results. And the premise of that was, do you have imposter syndrome when it comes to your own physical appearance? Mm. And it was a very moving thing to read through because yes, everybody does. And body image and how you feel in your clothes and how you feel in your own skin keeps people from doing things, keeps people from going to events, keeps people from living the life they want to live. So we're so excited to have you on to hear about your amazing story, your career, hopefully talk a little bit about, that very topic of like, how can clothes make you feel in your body? That's enough of my intro for you. I will now open it up with, we like to do a little icebreaker.
Yes. Okay. I was a mascot in junior high and there was somebody,
What do you mean?
I had a big foam head on during a basketball game and there was somebody that was talking crap about me in the stands.
No.
And I could read
tell?
her lips. And so I came up to her after the game and I was like, just so you know, I can read lips. And she was like,
What'd she say?
I don't remember.
Okay.
I mean, it was negative.
Not nice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was not
Wow.
nice.
Okay, so that's such a fun fact to open with, so thank you. We don't even need the icebreaker.
What was the mascot? What was the mascot?
A panther.
Oh,
Panthers.
I love that. So strong. We go with different icebreaker questions. The one we asked Declan on his episode a few weeks ago was, what is your love language?
Words of affirmation. Words of affirmation, quality time, and physical touch.
So
Wow.
all except two.
Basically.
Yeah. Three-way tie.
Three-way tie, for sure.
That's so interesting because I feel like the industry that you're in and the industry that you came up in is so gift oriented, but you're like, that ain't doing it for me, y'all.
No.
Yeah.
Maybe you're burnt out of it.
Yeah, well, and to me, I don't know. It's stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know.
Right.
At the
end of the day.
Yeah. And honestly, like gifts to me, I'd rather somebody say something really nice about how they feel about my friendship with them or whatever.
Ditto.
Than get me something that I'm like, wah, wah.
Yeah.
It's also I'm picky, so if
Yeah.
I'm being
Right,
completely honest,
right.
Yeah.
I'm like, if somebody's very thoughtful, like my
Right.
assistant bought me this shirt which has my dog on it.
That is so cute.
And his name is Ziggy. And for the first Halloween,
and it's like
he was dressed up like Biggie Smalls because I call him Ziggy, the notorious ZIG.
Oh my
Yes.
God.
So
cute.
it's basically like a Biggie t-shirt.
Right.
Do you
but
have
with
2
Ziggy on
layers
it.
of dog merch?
I sure do.
So she got
Yeah.
dogs on both.
So
I sure do.
Love it.
let's just put it on the record before we even get into the conversation. Celebrity stylist approves of double layer dog.
Yes.
Oh
Outfits.
yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Wear
Double-layered
your dog
dog.
on your clothes, please.
Love it.
Okay.
And always.
Who's the other dog?
So this is Rocky. This was my first dog.
All right.
And he has passed.
I'm sorry.
But that's okay. He's
R.I.P.
in doggy heaven waiting for me. And this is Ziggy. This is the dog I have now. They're both Shih Tzus. I'm a Shih
Okay.
Tzu fanatic.
That's adorable.
Okay.
Thank you.
We're excited. So why don't we just get started to kind of ground the audience and us in the conversation? Just like give us your stats. Who are you? Where are you from? What do you do?
Yeah. My name is Tiffany Gifford. I am originally from Texas. I
I need to do the Longhorn then.
Oh,
You
yeah.
just swing from
either
hang loose.
one. I mean,
Is this it?
yeah, it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. All right.
It's like battling Longhorn.
This was dueling Longhorns. Okay.
I moved to Nashville by way of New York City, and I am a stylist. I'm a wardrobe stylist, to be specific, because somehow when I moved here, people are like, "Oh, you do hair," and I'm like, "You do not want me doing your hair." So I have to be very specific. I'm
stylist.
a wardrobe
Got it. Okay.
stylist instead
Okay.
of just a stylist. I guess people automatically think hairstylist.
I would never think that, but okay.
Okay, see, yeah, me neither. I was like, okay, now
I would think you would have to specify hairstylist.
same.
I have heard snippets of kind of your like career path from just being at the gym or just like it comes up casually in conversation. But can you give us sort of a little bit of a fun resume? Like how does one even get into this?
Yeah. I mean, what I love about what I do is there is no one way. I actually have a bachelor's degree in early childhood education. I was going to be a kindergarten teacher. I wanted to be like, have kids young, get married young, be home with my kids during the summer, that kind of thing. All the things that my mom couldn't do, and that she wanted to do. Yeah. And I was in a relationship that I thought was going to end in marriage towards the end of my my degree, and we broke up. And I was like, I got to get the hell out of Texas. So I'd always had an interest in fashion. I don't think I ever pictured myself working in the industry, but I always kind of had an interest in it. And I had a weird, uncanny ability to identify brands, like on the cover of magazines, that I had no business. Like we shopped at like Walmart and Kmart because they had layaway. We could not shop at Target as kids. So like, you know, I didn't come from like wealth, or there was no reason why I should be able to identify these things, but I had this weird ability to do it. And so I started researching fashion schools and came upon Parsons, which I just really felt like it had the most prestigious alumni. And so I applied for their associate's program because I was like, I'm not going to be in school for another 4 years. And I got in
because you'd already done your 2-year.
Well, 5 really, because teaching, you know, you have a method.
Oh, you went through it. You went through the whole
thing. Yeah. I graduated because I was like, I can always, you know, go back to this. And I thought in my mind, I was like, if I want to do fashion, I felt like I needed to do it when I was younger.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So I got into Parsons and I was like, oh, I guess I'm moving to New York. I mean, I didn't even have a passport. I had been to New York one time.
Oh my gosh.
Ironically, to visit a friend that I had gone to high school with that I had encouraged to go to fashion school as well. And yeah, I picked up, moved to New York. My parents were incredibly supportive, drove up all my stuff.
Oh, wow.
Well, when we got on a plane, my sister moved with me, and then another girlfriend I was cocktailing with at a club in Houston. And yeah, moved to New York, went to school, knew I wanted to be a stylist, but really I saw myself as more of a magazine stylist.
Okay.
Like at the time, you know, magazines are kind of sadly pamphlets now. So it's just such a different world. But at the time, you know, in the early 2000s, it was like I was, you know, you were looking at magazines were everything.
Yes.
You know, it was very kind of aspirational to work at magazines, and frankly, really hard to get in, even as an intern. But I wanted to work like in style. I loved Lucky magazine, rest in peace. I loved. I mean, it revolutionized what we look at magazines today, where it talks about like where to buy things. Like magazines didn't used to give you that information. They didn't tell you how much stuff costs. They didn't, you know what I mean?
Right.
None of that.
Yeah.
It was Lucky made that happen, and they realized, oh my gosh, this is like a cash cow. Like we can partner with the, you know, advertisers and all the things. So anyways, but I started interning at magazines, and then when I graduated, and there's so many little God winks in all of this, but you know,
I love that.
I'm giving you the
God wink.
Oh
so
yeah,
cute.
I mean,
that's sweet.
you know, my very first internship, I was so desperate to get into magazines that my very first internship was at Glamour, but it was in the art department. But the girl who hired me is from Nashville. And her dad was a massive manager here. He managed REM and James Taylor, and you know, just like tiny little artists, baby artists. And the first time I ever came to Nashville was years later when I came to her wedding, because we became friends. Anyway, so there's all these little things that kind of nod to keep going, and also where I was going to somehow. But I slowly learned I really had wasn't as interested in magazines as I thought I was, and what opened my eyes to that more than anything was when I was at Glamour, I was there as an intern for about a year. I was in the art department, and because I was the person that Devil Wears Prada, you know, that was written by Anna Wintour's old assistant. Like, you know, I mean, it was very similar,
real,
you know,
accurate, yeah.
Yeah, you know, I was the one that delivered the book to Cindy Levy's house. Like that whole thing, she was not the devil, she was lovely. But in any case, like,
were you like not allowed to make eye contact? Like you had to.
No, that's why she was lovely. She actually remembered my name, which is like, as an intern, it's like the editor in chief of a magazine like that at the time was a huge deal for her to.
Yes.
Yeah, and I was able to, the way God had kind of like put the pieces together, where I was the one that was handing out all of the pages to the editors for them to so they all got to know me and I got to know them. So when it came time for me to like graduate and figure out what I was going to do, like the director of photography at Glamour was willing to sit down with me and like have a meeting about, styling and like what kind of stylist do you want to be? And do you want to be a commercial stylist? Do you want to be a high fashion stylist? Do you want to be, do more advertising? Like what kind of stuff do you want to do? And to get that kind of time with somebody at that high level is, it's rare.
Yeah.
But that's what led me to do research on styling and like what stylists I was gravitating towards. And one in particular that I really, really wanted to work for, his name was Andrea Lieberman. And she no longer styles, but she has a clothing line called ALC, but she's actually the reason.
Oh, yeah. Of course.
She's the reason Google Images exists. She styled J-Lo in the green Versace dress.
Whoa.
She did all of Gwen Stefani's solo career. Mary J. Blige. We did Faith Hill at the time.
Wow.
A bunch of people. So I really wanted to work for her. And this will tell you how long ago it was. I faxed my resume. I called her agency, and the head of the agency picked up, and she's like, yeah, we're looking for somebody to assist Andrea. Like, can you send a resume? And which again, like, when does that ever happen? Like, you know what I mean? Like usually you have like some junior person that's answering the telephone, you know?
Right.
So yeah. And I had an interview. They were like, you've done market, right? And I'm like, yes. Absolutely not.
What's market?
Like pulled clothes.
Yeah.
So you've gone out and you've pulled clothes because, she had so many clients that she couldn't do it all herself. So her assistants, we had to go to brands, the PR houses and pull the clothes for the jobs we were doing.
Got it.
Things we were prepping for. And totally lied and said, of course I'd, but the great thing was like, just like, old school Karate Kid, like paint the fence. Like because I had written Gucci 536 Fifth Avenue, attention Megan. I mean, I still remember, like, I don't know that was the number, but they were on Fifth Avenue and the girl's name was Megan. But because I had written it so many times as an intern, because, to do returns, we were responsible for, making out the labels and putting everything in a bag and, oftentimes bringing it back to the showrooms. I knew the names of the contacts, so I kind of had that.
I feel like you stretched the truth. I feel like you didn't lie.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it was kind of like a fake it till I make it kind of thing, but also like it wasn't a full lie, but it wasn't the full truth either.
It's also not like they weren't like, have you ever performed open heart surgery? Like it's, you know what I mean? It's like something you could do.
True.
If you had to.
True.
Wow.
Yeah, so I got the call that I got the job, and my very first job was with Jennifer Lopez, assisting, which was like the craziest thing ever.
I'm geeking out. I'm geeking out over
I
this
was
right
too.
now. No, like over you. I really am. No, like
yeah.
this is like, I love fashion so much, but it's not my, I would think, but like it's not my world. Yeah. So like hearing your story, like I'm just like, I feel like I'm a guest. Like I'm a guest on this couch.
Yeah,
this is so
well, I'll take over.
Yeah, it's been a fun ride. It's been incredibly encouraging, and I get very excited to talk about the story because truly, like, I think it encourages people who, and I kind of jumping to the end here, but it encourages people who really have a passion in their heart to do something. God has really put something on their heart that they should be doing.
The call, if you will, like a call.
Yeah,
okay.
like just like I mean, the word says He puts the desires in our hearts, so it's there for a reason. If you're desiring to do something, it's like it's there for a reason. So He's opened all these doors for me to get to these to do these things, even at the point where I was ready to give up, and that kind of leads to kind of the Nashville component of it. Kind of skipping the part. I did go back and work for magazines for a little bit for Kanye Nast Traveler. I was a fashion editor there, and I traveled the world for 5 years, which was an incredible blessing.
I've heard you tell stories here and there about shoots you've done. Like remember the one you shared the other day? Was that for Condé Nast when you zip
I've had
line?
a lot of really crazy shoots. Yeah. Like there was a guy, we were on a train from Istanbul to Budapest, kind of like Orient Express style thing.
Wow.
And the entertainer of the train died in front of us. Yeah.
Like a heart attack?
Yeah, I think so. We thought he had passed out because I had been seeing him. He had a glass of Johnny Walker at like 10 a.m.
Okay.
So I was seeing him drink all day long. This is like a Wes Anderson film. So I was bored. I was an assistant. We were on the shoot. I was bored. It was a very geriatric train, akin to a cruise, which I've also done that as well.
And these shoots take like all day.
Oh my God, I'm gone for like 10 days. So we're like, I mean, it's
all
like,
day, every day.
But this train, like the food was awful. I mean, it was just, so I got together with like the models and the photo assistants and I was like, let's have a poker party. Like, but you have to dress in drag. So we called it the Tranny Train Poker Party. And we raided the wardrobe trunks. I was wearing like Tom Ford silk pajamas with a drawn on beard. Oh the photographer was wearing my literal dress that I had pulled out of my suitcase.
Oh my God.
My boss was wearing this Hermes trench coat with like a full drawn on lip. I mean, it was like and so this guy, the guy that played the piano and so he came into our car because we had kind of gone. There was this like it was a beautiful train. It was like a vintage car that had been like I think Hungarian royalty that had belonged to them at some point. And we were all back there just playing poker with like candy as our
in drag
chips in drag. Everyone was in drag.
Hermes drag.
Yes, very high end drag. I mean, I had a full drawn on beard. It was and so. The guy comes in and he's taking photos of us and like laughing and everything. And then all of a sudden he just passes out. And I'm like, he's drunk, obviously.
Yeah. Johnny Walker 10 a.m.
He was not drunk, y'all. He was not breathing.
Oh,
so
my God.
I am like pinned against, there's a table, this big kind of table. I'm pinned against, and I'm like telling my boss, I'm like, go get somebody.
Yeah.
Like to, help this guy. We were at a stop in Serbia, and somebody did eventually come back. He got medical assistance. He did not make it, sadly. But we were ushered off the train so they could do their thing. Well, the Serbian police and military, they're with their like, automatic weapons, and were paraded in drag.
Oh my gosh.
On the platform. It was definitely a memorable moment.
I'd say so.
For sure.
Well, wait, were they like, what happened? Were they interrogating you guys a little bit?
No, I just imagine they were like, what in the actual...
Yeah.
You can curse.
Yeah. Is going on.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, and you told a story, you passingly told a story about ziplining wardrobe.
Yes, we did a shoot in Costa Rica, and we were shooting with the model on zip lines.
Yeah.
And so we had to like zip line with the wardrobe. Yeah. I mean, like I had like wardrobe garment bags.
That's amazing.
It was crazy. I can't believe we did that.
Yeah.
But also very memorable.
Wow.
So let's go back to J-Lo. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be like, was she nice?
She was actually really nice.
I believe it. She remembered
my name, which actually as like a lowly assistant, like I was one of, 3 or 4 assistants.
That's so nice.
She always remembered my name when we came, to her house and stuff.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Anyway,
but so you're this girl from, I assume like small town Texas. What part of Texas?
Yeah. Katy.
Katy,
is where I'm from. It's more of a suburb. It was a small town when I was growing up, but it's more of a suburb. It's quite big now.
Okay. Of where?
Of Houston. Sorry.
Of Houston. Okay.
Yeah.
So you're like small town. You're in New York. Your career catapulted pretty quickly because of your hard work and your ability to make an impression as an intern. But then like talk about imposter syndrome. What was it like being in a room, like some of your first styling experiences, some of your first career experiences being in a room with J-Lo, like
the biggest star in the actual world.
Yeah. Like did imposter syndrome come out in those moments?
I think that, gosh, I don't know that. I think I was so nervous about, at least at the beginning, I don't know that I even had time to even think about that. Certainly, I wish I had a more of a distinct memory of how I felt in that time. I mean, I remember when I got the call, and I remember writing it down in my notebook, and I remember telling my roommate, because my roommate remembers it. She reminds me, she's like, I'll never forget when you called me and you were like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be doing a job with J-Lo.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know that I ever necessarily thought of had that vivid thought. I feel like an imposter. Like, I feel like I shouldn't be here. But
yeah.
I think that there was always an element that I think it made no sense for me to be there. It made no sense for me to have, I had no business being in fashion. I wasn't wealthy. I didn't come from a blue blood family. I had, you know what I mean? There's no reason for me to be there. But because I have such a spiritual relationship with God, I kind of just saw it as that.
Okay.
Like there was somebody else's hand in this because it certainly had nothing to do with me.
Wow.
So if I can then kind of, I've just been thinking of you, as you said, the God wink and the, you're talking about your spiritual connection there. And I think there is such an interesting intersection of imposter syndrome and spirituality.
I was just thinking that.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of the question I want to ask. Like, I almost wonder if sometimes, do you ever think when you look back on your career, do you think that there are moments that could be attributed to your work ethic, your, impeccable eye, but sometimes spirituality takes that credit too? Like, how do you share the credit?
I don't. I don't.
Okay.
I don't give any credit to myself.
Okay.
I feel like I'm completely. I feel that I'm completely indebted, and I give all glory to God, because that's what I feel like I'm here to do.
Wow. Okay.
So I don't think anything is of my own strength.
Okay.
So I feel like if I can draw the parallel, which I think we're getting to, or the connection.
Yeah.
I feel like folks who feel this way, or have this type of spiritual relationship and connection, I don't even think imposter syndrome is a part of the conversation, because it's like this is just all part of your kind of
journey.
path, and it's like it's almost like why, like, you don't really second guess it.
I think,
some ways,
I think I wouldn't be fully human if there weren't moments where I didn't second guess it, for sure.
But
in general, when I'm able to like kind of, helicopter view
like
it,
zoom out.
I'm able to connect the dots, and it's all connected to his hand and everything.
Wow.
In the moment, it may feel like, holy crap. I mean, and certainly I think that there's an element too, as you go along in a career where you're less affected by the feeling. Does that make sense?
Sure.
Where so you like I'll never forget the very first runway show it was my very first internship. It was my very first New York Fashion Week. And I remember being able to help with that runway show. And I remember standing at the very top corner of the runway and the music playing. It was before the show had ever started, and sobbing, because I was like, I just felt like it was one of those moments in life where you're like, I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be.
Yeah.
Exactly at the right time.
Wow.
Like an
it just felt like such a
overwhelming-
synergy. Like,
that's really sweet.
Yeah, I don't know. But I just feel like, I don't know if I'm answering your question.
No,
I
you
feel
are.
like-
I think
That's
it's a really interesting turn of like we haven't quite gotten into this.
I love it.
Yeah, it's great. I think a lot of people will find it interesting, and a lot of people will relate to it.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of people that have had the strong spiritual connection throughout their lives, or have found a really wonderful spiritual community like you have, that feel this way.
Yeah.
And can't maybe imposter syndrome might be harder to articulate or identify, because it's
Sure.
you have faith in
Something larger than yourself.
Yeah, that's
Sure.
It's such an interesting. I love this.
It's a cool point of view.
Yeah.
So I kind of want to go back now. I'm glad we're asking this now and not in the beginning. Now, having said what we said, if we just sat you down, we didn't have that conversation. Let's just start over. Tiffany Gifford. What are you great at?
I feel like I'm great at allowing people to see themselves in the way God sees them.
Oh, wow.
That is what I hope. That's my hope for myself. But I also feel like I'm talented at that. Otherwise, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing.
Yeah. Yeah. Can you tell us about, has there been a time in your career, especially once you went off on your own, where you kind of changed a person's perspective, or you feel like you got through to them and what they were meant to be doing right then, or you
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's so many elements of what I get to do. Specifically, I work with musicians. Mostly, I've worked with a few actors, but mostly I'm in the music sphere. I think, my very first job with Miranda, who's one of my big clients, one of my longest standing clients, Miranda Lambert, to be specific, 14 years, I think, will be in April that we've been working together. But that story in and of itself is such a kind of incredible one, because I was about to give up on, I was going to move back to Texas. I'd been spinning my wheels trying to make styling a thing. And anyhow, but when we first worked together, I remember she did an interview shortly thereafter. I mean, that particular thing, we can go back to that, I guess, if you guys want to at some point, but it's
for sure,
it was a fork in the road, and certainly I was pushed to keep going in styling. But she did a radio interview shortly after the first time we worked together, and she said, I'm working with this new stylist named Tiffany. I was like, she just said my name on the radio, so excited about it. and she brought my size. She said, I'm a size 8. And she's the first stylist that ever brought my size.
Wow.
And I found out, she had to wear things just because they zipped. Not because they were her size. Yes. Because, the fashion industry is of such that it works off a sample set. And, and so, and I understand, you think about it from a business perspective,
sure.
like they can't make a full size range in everything that goes down the runway. And because, they're wanting to get the exposure and marketing from celebrities wearing their clothes, it's helpful if the celebrity is the size that they make their sample set in, which is usually the size of a model that goes down the runway, which ranges anywhere from size 0 to size 4.
Right.
As we know, most women are not that size, including people that are famous.
Yeah.
Newsflash, that's not a prerequisite to being able to sing and write songs. So
that was such a beautiful sentence right there.
Yeah. So, but anyhow, she said, the fact that I couldn't even imagine paying someone for a service and then bringing you stuff and make you feel like crap when you're meant to go out in front of people, which is already uncomfortable.
Yes.
Shouting your name and taking pictures of you. And you're supposed to feel your absolute best. And she's feeling like, well, this zipped. So I guess it's fine.
Like this is my option.
This is my one option. And she was paying high dollar for it. She was getting, LA stylists, bigger name people. And so I think that was a moment where I was like, oh my gosh, like that.
This worked.
This worked. And
just seeing someone.
There's something, and over time and time again, I tend to always, not always, but I feel like more often than not, I have clients that have, needs such as that.
Yeah.
That they're not teeny tiny, that they need to feel, they absolutely should feel as beautiful as they are.
Yeah. Did you hear that unison moment?
Yeah, you did. Should we harmonize that?
Yeah. Wow. That is a freaking beautiful story.
This is 14 years ago, you said? Mm-hmm. It's also mind blowing.
Yes.
Like basically, and this isn't to take any credit away from you, but the digest of that is Miranda Lambert was like, wow, someone gave me an outfit in my size. Mm-hmm. Like that was, right? Like that was kind of the moment that you guys became a partnership.
We did. I think part of it was we were both from Texas, so we kind of had.
You probably had like a connection there.
We did have a connection there for sure. Texans are a special.
I'm doing the long one.
Very specific.
Yeah. So I think that was part of it, but certainly, and she was such a huge marketer for me.
Wow.
The very first time I worked with her, like she invited me to her after party, and she was going blasting in there. You need to meet Tiffany. She's great. You need to hire her. Aww. It was just and that's how she is as a human being. She's very girl power, very supportive of her sphere of girlfriends and people in her life that she believes in. But she's the reason that truly not just word of mouth wise, but because she literally said, you should hire Tiffany.
That's awesome.
So yeah.
Let's go back to the fork in the road. Because we like to talk about, we like to ask guests about like a big pivot moment or just a time when you had to kind of quit something to really do what you wanted to do. So will you tell us a little bit more about, and I think too this, we're kind of getting to an impostery moment here if you were feeling like maybe styling wasn't working out.
Truly.
We now know you are literally called to do that.
Yeah,
so tell us about that time.
So I was at Kanye Nast Travel. So I had gotten offered an editor position at the magazine at Kanye Nast, and it was, the timing was perfect because I was working with several. I was a freelance assistant, so I was working a lot with Andrea. I was working a lot with my now best friend Maria, who was at Marie Claire. I was doing a lot of editorial with her. I was working with a lot of different stylists in New York, and but those were my two mainstays: Maria at Marie Claire and Andrea. Andrea had met a great guy, was moving to Los Angeles, and Maria had also gotten married and was moving to London. So I was like, okay, I got this offer. as it was an editor title, so I'm gonna take it, because really I wanted to continue doing celebrity styling. I knew I fell in love with it, specifically the music side of it. It was so highly creative, and magazines were so like, you have to shoot all this crappy stuff that advertises with us, even if it looks like, you know, a dog's breakfast. You still have to shoot it. You know, so I really love the creativity. That was more of the celebrity music side of things. And I told Andrea, I was like, I will move to LA. Like, I will come out there. And she had a stylist assistant that was based out there that, you know, she couldn't confirm that I would have enough. And I didn't, like I said, I didn't come from money. I don't have a trust fund. I didn't have the capability to support myself if I didn't know I was going to have work. So I took this job at Condé Nast Traveler, knowing that I was going to continue to try to make something happen in the styling world, which I did. I mean, I would tell anybody that would listen, you know, this is what I really want to do. And got connections. I mean, I styled the All American Rejects for a while. I was at the MTV Music Awards where the Kanye Taylor thing happened, which I have a total side story on that I think it was a setup, but
wait.
Okay, love this.
Wait.
We're both like,
are you allowed to tell the story on the Great Imposters?
I didn't sign anything, so I've told it before, never on a podcast. I don't want to derail you though, and then we'll go.
I don't either, but we need to go back to that.
Yeah, we'll go back to the setup.
No, I had which actually I loved styling All American Rejects. They were such nice dudes and fun.
I was just gonna ask because it's all men, right?
It's all men. It was four guys. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
And it was in their heyday. I mean, it was the Gives You Hell, that heyday.
Love that song.
Yeah. So that was super, super fun. But nothing was like, I wanted it to snowball and get other clients where I could leave the magazine job and do it full time.
Sure.
Okay.
Which I knew at that point. It was like, you know, Rachel Zoe and, you know, Andrea was, you know, like celebrity styling had all of a sudden become, oh my gosh, it's a thing you do.
Thing.
You know, it was very desirable. I knew it was going to be tricky because also it's hard to make that step from assistant to stylist for a lot of different reasons. But in any case, I was trying to, you know, figure out when that was going to happen, and it just wasn't happening. Basically, the answer is it just wasn't happening. So I was like, well, you know, I had always said I would stay in New York City as long as I had things to give New York and New York had things to give me, and I just felt like it was coming to an end. My lease was up in November, and I was like, you know, if this isn't happening at that point, I'll plan C. Like, I always wanted to open a store. Like, maybe that's something I'll do. I don't know with what money, but you know, maybe I'll go back home where I know the market more, and open a store or something like that. And as I always had done, you know, before every award show, I reach out to all the people that I had met in Nashville, you know, and other places, you know, just trying to get jobs and whatnot. And I had been, you know, talked to about Miranda before, and by her label. And she had just done the Grammys, got panned on the carpet. And I was like, oh, she's so amazing. She's so beautiful. I wish I could help her in some way.
Yeah.
And so I just started doing research, because as an editor, I get cold emailed all day about like brands that we would never shoot in the magazine. And so I started emailing these people like, do you offer, because I knew she wasn't sample size. And I was like, do you offer, you know, just emailing these people that had emailed me. Emailed this one brand who had just ironically dressed her for Grammys. And they said, oh yeah, we do offer sizes other than sample. We actually just dressed Miranda Lambert for the Grammys, which I was like, I know, and it's horrible. But
I could do it,
but I was like, oh, you don't say. So I was like, you know, I knew. So I was trying to just, you know, prepare myself.
Yeah.
And I had Tree Payne, who ironically is now Taylor Swift's publicist. At the time, she was at Warner, and she was really trying to push Blake Shelton. She was like, I'd love for you to pull some stuff for Blake Shelton. This was way before The Voice. She was really trying to, you know, get him. And so I was going to be pulling stuff for him and shipping it in a box, which is a disaster way to be a stylist, by the way. I mean, like it's shipping a box of clothes.
Yeah. You don't get to like show them your vision.
Well, it's so much of what I do. I say 75% of what I do is psychology anyway. And it's like being in the room with somebody and connecting with them, seeing their insecurities, seeing what they like, what they don't like how are they feeling that day? Like what do they need that day? It takes
the entire human experience out of what you do.
Yes, 100%.
Frustrating.
But so many people do it. I mean, a lot of people do it. A lot of artists that are in Nashville will use an LA stylist and they'll get a box of clothes. To me, that just doesn't feel like worth the money you're paying for.
And it's not your craft. Your craft is the connection piece.
I mean, absolutely.
Yeah.
So anyways, I was in my mind, I was like putting the, dots together and I'm like, how am I going to make this happen?
Yeah. Right. Cause they were
dating.
Right.
They were dating at the time.
Oh, okay.
They were dating at the time. Yeah. So, anyway, so I, trying to find the manager's information, can't find it.
Yeah.
I emailed and I'm like, I'm just going to ask this brand that just dressed her.
Yeah.
Like what the manager's email is.
Yeah.
I was like, they're never going to give it to me. That's so unprofessional. But they did. So I emailed her and I was like, hey, I would love the opportunity. I was like, I'll fly myself to Vegas. It was the ACMs in Vegas. I'll fly myself out there. I said, I know you already have a dress because that's the other thing. They were like, oh yeah. And she just got a dress for ACMs. And they sent me a picture. I was like, awful.
Oh,
it was so
you
bad.
You knew just by the picture?
Immediately because it's her body type, the color, it had 3D flowers on it. It was going to make her look 3 times the size of what she actually was. It just wasn't going to do her any favors. Cut on a bias. It was white. I mean, I could go on. Anyways,
so Tiffany's gonna go find someone from PETA to throw some blood on the dress before. No,
exactly.
Sorry, go on.
So anyway, I emailed the manager and she emailed me back straight away. Did it from my Kanye and Taylor email address to make it seem official, like I wasn't some psycho.
Yeah.
So thankfully they hired me off a phone call and an email. Flew me out to Vegas. She was like, write up a budget based on bringing accessories because they already had a dress. And so I did. And then,
because
they flew me out.
Someone's accessories get styled separately from the outfit sometimes.
Well, I technically
it should. Okay.
I usually do accessories after I've styled a look. Yes.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay.
So they flew me out there. She ended up she ditched the dress she bought,
of course,
and wore like 4 different things that I brought out there. She invited me to the after party, and her and her manager pulled me aside at the after party, and they said, we want to pay you double what you estimated and we want to hire you for the next gig. And I just started bawling because I was like, this was God being like, you need to keep going.
That's an unbelievable story.
You need to keep going. It was such a like spotlight, like flashing red lights. Like,
oh my goodness.
Don't give up. Don't move back.
Wow.
And so I stayed in New York for about 1.5 years more.
Okay.
And then I was like, she wasn't living in Nashville at the time. So she was flying me wherever.
Okay.
So it wasn't like I needed to move to Nashville. But in my mind, I was like, well, I can move to LA and be a dime a dozen celebrity stylist. Or I can move to Nashville where there's just no one based here that had my background. So that's what I did. And it was really, it culminated with like Nashville blowing up as like this big destination city. Like everybody was, Nashville crazy. And
so you've been here, what, like 12-ish years then?
December of 2011, I think.
Okay.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so a little longer.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's
such an amazing story.
chills.
Yeah,
Totally.
thanks.
And also like, throughout this whole conversation so far, the little tidbits I've taken that I really hope people who are listening and watching take too is you've really like, in the right ways, you've been bold all along the way and bold in a really just like, not in a too like, not like obnoxious or like putting yourself, but you've really just like, you do the thing that someone might be scared to do and turn away. Like even if it's that little moment where you asked for the email address, most people who are listening to this would have been like, I'm not going to ask them for the email address because they're not going to give it to me. Instead, you asked for the email address, just hoping for the best.
Yeah.
And look what happened. Like, and then you used your brain and said, all right, I'm going to email them from the Condé Nast email address. So at least it looks a little more,
it's
like that this is supposed to happen.
I'm sure Kanye Nast
like,
would not have been pleased with that.
Too late.
Yeah.
Sometimes you ask for forgiveness, not permission in situations that aren't insane. So I feel like just eat these little things along the way. You just kind of
But what
put
people
yourself
also
out there.
need to realize too is like for the 100 emails I would send out pitching myself.
Yes. Of
you
course.
know,
one came back.
And I try to tell my friends who are, trying to, switch careers at this stage, or my assistants or interns that come through. It's like, you can't get discouraged with that. Like you have to keep going. You have to keep pressing on.
And I read this fascinating article about how like the younger, we always shit on Gen Z. I'm not shitting on y'all, Gen Z. You're great. But
okay, you can.
Like how Gen Z is kind of coming up with this new phenomenon of money dysmorphia, where yeah,
never heard that term.
Like, I gotta send it to you guys, but because they think that like everything's so instant.
Because for some of their peers it is.
Yes, because for some of their peers it's like, well, I just quit my corporate job and I'm creating content and now I'm making 6 figures or whatever, and then there's like us, you know, small town Texas, small town Ohio, small town mid-state New York.
Thank you. Good correction.
Yeah, like we weren't around that. We didn't see those kind of things happen, and so there's a scrappiness. Yeah, I think too.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, I got to send you guys this article. It's fascinating. But like they're growing up without a sense of they don't even understand like money, how it works, where it comes from, how you do it, how you save it, anything, because they just believe it's like, I've got a joke and now I'm going to put it on the internet and I'm famous, you know?
Well, also like
that was a tangent.
No, but it's a necessary tangent because the distortion of like, I can make an entry level salary of a 9-to-5 job with 2 weeks of vacation doing one paid advertisement. Like that information's out there. Like I could do one paid post. If I could get myself there,
right,
and I could make an entire salary,
right,
on that one post. Of course, the kids are going to want to do that.
The youth,
these days.
So let's go. I really want to touch on this. You were absolutely like blowing my mind when you said that from a picture of an image and never having seen Miranda Lambert in real life, like you can look at a piece of clothing and you can tell that it's not going to look flattering.
Yeah, for sure.
How like.
I think just knowing clothes. I mean, so if you talk about something that's cut on a bias, it looks good on virtually no one.
What's cut on a bias?
So that means it's cut on an angle. It's usually silk, satin, chiffon, cut on a bias. It catches everything. And if it's stretched too much, it's going to ripple on the sides. It's like a slip dress. That kind of thing. Not all slip dresses necessarily are cut on a bias, but you know,
no, slip dresses look good on women who are shaped like a hanger.
Right. Yeah. That are usually quite tall as well.
Right.
You know, and she's petite, you know, she's 5'3.5" and, you know, and a size 8. So I knew, and on top of it, you're going to add bulk with, you know, these 3D little flowers over the entire thing.
Yeah.
Okay. So not even strategically placed. And then on top of it, it's white, which there's nothing wrong with white as a color. But, you know, on camera and in photographs, it tends to make you look bigger than you are.
Yeah.
You know, so if that is what you're going after, then you need to, you know, those are things you need to kind of keep in mind.
Okay.
Just checks all the wrong boxes.
It checks all the wrong boxes. Yeah.
So how do you, I really, here's another thing about you that I love. Because when I was just a little, you know, little Annie fangirl at the gym being like, so, you know, shooting my shot. So do you do personal styling? You know, just like, I don't know, maybe. And then it's like, no, of course not. But like, you know your craft, you know, and you know what you're really good at, and you've hit on it so many times. Like you know, you referred to it as like, you have a calling, and you do. So you don't do like personal styling in the sense of you don't do people's closets and stuff.
Right. I mean, occasionally I've done it. Occasionally I found that I'm not as good at it as I would like to be.
Right.
And I don't find it as fun.
Yeah.
So I love the way in which I work with my clients is I listen to the music first and let it interpret what the image should be, which what I gather from my musician clients is different. It's not I don't know how anybody understands somebody's story without that. But to me, I mean, like I don't have ESP, so I need to have something. I love using someone else's creative medium and molding it into something different.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's hard to do that with a personal styling situation.
Yeah.
I mean, you can, but it's oftentimes feels like trying to hit a dartboard blindfolded, you know?
Yeah. And I love that, like, even in these moments where you were contemplating a pivot, or maybe you were just like sending out 100 emails and you hadn't gotten your one back yet, you stayed true to like what you knew you would be really good at. And,
totally.
And wanting to do this more like creative interpretation styling for artists than being like, well, I guess I could do some closets here and there, which maybe like looking back, like that could have really diminished your brand over time because it wasn't what you wanted to be doing.
Right. Yeah.
So I love that you stayed true to yourself. We talk a lot in this body image episode about like social media is so pervasive and it's just so damaging because we think that everybody looks amazing all the time. But in reality, like, you know, we wear dog sweatshirts and branded sweatshirts. So like, what are some tips or some things that you want, especially women who aren't sample size, to think about when they are dressing themselves?
I mean, I think that's a big question. I feel like it depends on the situation. It depends on the event. Like, are we, you know, are we dressing casually? Is this a dress up event?
Let's do events.
I think we need to do events, and let's just kind of get more specific so she knows where we're coming from about the episode, because we asked some questions like, do you ever feel like you don't belong somewhere because of your body or the way you feel in something? The top one was about how I feel like in a bathing suit, right? Like, so that came up a lot. And Annie and I had a whole conversation about bathing suits, about how they are like designed by the devil, and like, I mean, even me, who I'm like a fairly petite person, like I hate bathing suits. Like, they're just, if you have any sort of bust, they're either not flattering, not supportive, too granny looking. You know what I mean? It's just a terrible, whatever. So that's one thing, swimsuits. The other is dressing for events, especially women in their 30s and 40s who feel like they've just kind of lost their sense of style and don't even know how to dress for events. So those are kind of the two that came up a lot.
Sure.
Of where women feel really uncomfortable making decisions and expressing themselves.
Yeah, sure. So do you want me to hit on the swimsuit stuff?
If you don't mind. I mean, do you want to?
I can try. I can try. Yeah. I mean, but I'm going to be really honest. I think, you know, I think if someone's not feeling comfortable in a bathing suit, there are enough options out there at this point.
Yeah.
If someone's not feeling comfortable, it's less about the bathing suit and more about what's going on internally with them, I think.
I agree.
I think that I get it, you know, because we're also, you know, we're constantly, you know, hit over the head with all of these, you know, images of women that are frankly probably not even true images of them. In other words, they're doctored in some way, shape, or form, but, you know, that are not attainable for, like, I'm a size 14. I've never been a size 2.
Right.
I will never be a size 2. I feel like I would look ridiculous as a tiny person. Like, that's just not my body type. And I think also just coming to grips with that, that you're in the body you're in for a reason. And to segue to talking about Vanessa again, like, that's been such a blessing for me as someone who has frankly struggled with my weight and my own body image for my entire life, is getting to a place where you feel strong. I mean, that has been a game changer for me. I know I've kind of delved off the topic of bathing suits, but I think it's less.
No, but it's important.
Somehow, to me, it's less about the bathing suit, because let's be real, like, there's so many bathing suits out there. I mean, one of my old magazine colleagues just came out with it's called, I think it's called Stylist with EST.
I'm getting hit by ads from them. Yeah.
I think they're spending a lot of money on marketing right now, but it's basically, they've really taken a lot of time to construct it almost like bras and underwear, you know, so it fits you in a way that works for more body types.
And it's actually supportive.
Right, exactly. And it has compression in it and all of that stuff. But, you know, there's enough options out there. I think it's less about the actual suit itself and what is out there than what we need to figure out internally within ourselves, whether that's through, you know, moving your body more or therapy or what. I mean, certainly it's all of those things are things that I've gone through myself.
Ditto.
Well, and I also think there's so many other brands, you know, Good American is one of them that make size inclusive, bathing suits specifically, but also all sorts of clothes, you know, great denim and all of that stuff. And what I love, and I'm not on the Kardashian train. I'm kind of anti-Kardashian, but I love what that brand stands for. And I love that they, even when you're shopping on that site,
you're talking about Good American.
Good American, because that's Chloe.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So I love that they show the item on every size, which 100% costs a lot of money to do, but it's wonderful to be able to see, okay, so that she's a size 14. That's what that's going to, that is similar to what that's going to look like on me.
Yeah.
So you're able to say, oh, okay, that's helpful. Like maybe that string bottom is not the right thing. Maybe I want a higher waist bottom. So it makes me feel a little bit more covered.
I will say I see a lot more of that on retail websites, but I do believe they did it first.
Oh, 100%.
Right?
Yeah,
I mean, as someone who shops quite a lot for work.
Yes.
100%. They definitely did it first. And because it's expensive.
Yeah.
That's
Chloe
the
and
other
Emma.
part.
Emma's like, she seems like a pretty
genius.
Is Emma the other founder?
She's the,
Yes,
okay.
yeah.
You see this whole episode, I'm like, okay, wait, so.
But you see, I'm like, I love this stuff so much. I just, like, it's so interesting to hear from an insider on everything. What about, I guess let's pivot then, because that was a great tangential bathing suit conversation.
But Tiffany, it was like bathing suits, we all maybe have convinced ourselves we're over it, but then what we saw from the survey was like summer is approaching and like it is a thing as a woman that like we think about. It takes up way too much space in our brain, and I want us all to just be free and living on the beach instead,
Totally. Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah.
So
And let
thank
yourself,
you
because obviously, like you're going presumably to like on vacation of some sort.
Yeah.
Like some fun.
Or
relax,
like a Floridian, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
So I want to ask, so let's talk directly to the survey taker. There's a woman, she is 38 years old. Mm-hmm. She is going to a parent's event at her kid's school. It's a charity event. Mm-hmm. I feel like this is a relatable thing. Maybe a lot of people.
Yeah.
She wears yoga pants every day. Don't we all? It's like a cocktail casual, smart casual dress code. Like something where it's like, what the fuck does that mean?
Smart casual.
But that's usually what things say. It doesn't, it's either, you know what I mean? It's like black tie, cocktail for like weddings.
But things really
things
say
like
smart
this.
casual. Okay.
Oh yeah. Things like this are like, so it's like, am I wearing jeans or am I wearing a dress? Like, and everyone's texting each other.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? So and this person is like, I ran through my closet. I don't know what to wear. I haven't dressed myself since before I had kids. Mm-hmm. Let's say you're sitting down with this person. Like how are you advising them to get ready for that night?
What time of day is the event?
Evening.
Okay.
Parent evening. So like 5 o'clock.
5 to 7.
Yeah. So I feel like that's kind of a broad question simply because like, are we saying that are they going shopping for themselves or are we finding something we have to find
let's
something?
Let's say either.
Okay.
Yeah, either.
She's like, great, make it broader.
Let's say you can go shopping. If you were going to style someone for that event, like,
do we have a lot of lead time?
Yes.
No.
Okay.
No, we don't have that much lead time. No.
We have no lead time.
We procrastinate all the time.
Okay. I mean, I feel like I have questions. Like, do you have anything in your closet that you feel great in?
No, this is what I wanted. This is good. Yeah. So the first question
can I
would be
answer like I'm this woman.
All right, we're ready. Annie is the woman. Tiffany is the stylist.
I see.
Do I have anything in my closet that I feel great in? Not really right now.
Okay, so
I'm
then
up some LBs. I just did the hang loose.
Okay. So then that probably means that we need to go find something. If we don't have anything in our closet that we feel great in.
Okay.
I mean, this is such a there's so many variables here.
But like, this is so helpful because like this is literally so many women standing in their closet, just self-deprecating, doom spiraling, yelling at their partner like, I don't know what to wear. And when it's like, if you just had this honest conversation with yourself or Tiffany 2 days before. Okay.
Right. Well, I mean, if I would also recommend if that's like a constant frustration for you, maybe
burn it all down.
No, maybe. First of all, if you have nothing in your closet that you feel great in, you need to do a closet cleanse.
Okay.
First of all, because you don't want your closet to be a place where you go in and it just like berates you and makes you feel like crap every day.
Right.
Right. Period. I mean, and I've done this with clients before. We go in and we do what we call a closet douche.
Okay.
We just get it all out.
I love it. Okay.
Anything that's not supposed to be there, we get it out.
So do you literally like kind of Marie Kondo, like, how does this make you feel?
No, I don't.
Okay.
Because I know my clients so well that I'm kind of able to
do it for
ascertain. Them. I mean, I've done it without them there before. Okay. Sometimes it's because they've gained a little weight. And what we do is we get rid of the stuff that we don't think that they'll wear. We put in bins sizes. We put it away because I don't want that taking up closet space for things that could be great. And also most importantly, B, you don't want stuff in the closet that doesn't fit you.
Yes. Today.
Period.
Right.
Yes.
Dress
Period.
for the body you have today.
Period. Yes. So either get rid of it or put it in, if you can't get rid of it, put it in storage somewhere where it's out of your sight.
Yep.
Because otherwise it's just going to like, laugh at you or taunt you. Yeah. Whenever you walk in, and that's just bullshit. Cause like, clothes shouldn't do that. We shouldn't give power to clothes to do that.
Yes.
Love that. Love that.
So yeah, so that's what I would suggest. You get some stuff in your closet that you like. Now, if that seems like a task that you would rather get your fingernails pulled out than do, there's options for you. There's a wonderful service called Glam Hive. You can hire a virtual stylist, anyone from celebrity level to your personal stylist to an influencer stylist. There's lots of different levels. I've done it before myself. Again, I don't love personal styling, so I participated with Glam Hive. A friend of mine started it, Steph Springers, who is amazing. But
is this virtual or only in Nashville?
It's virtual.
Okay, great. So anyone can.
And it is the platform that they've created is incredible. They create a shopping list for you. You click on it, you go to it, you shop it, they send it to you.
Oh my gosh, this is huge,
incredible. But I've done like a seasonal refresh for someone. So we virtually will go through their closet. I've helped them edit through things. And then we figure out, we're going on vacation. Here's a few things I need. And I compile what I think, that they would be great if they shopped. They don't have to shop at all. They could shop nothing, but it's really for them to, and it's an easy process for them. So I would suggest doing that unless you have a friend or something that that has that talent, basically, that they're able to kind of.
That's a great tip.
Yeah.
All right. So it's 2 days before the event still though. And now I realize that I need to go ahead and get Glam Hive, but I have this problem in front of me where the event's in 2 days.
Yeah.
I've gained some LBs. So where do I go? What tips do I lean on to just get dressed for this one event that's
in Nashville? Where do you go?
Yeah. Like, what do you think? In Nashville.
So Annie, you should go to, I don't shop a lot in Nashville.
Okay.
So what I would recommend for you,
I don't want anything coronavirus.
I would recommend, I think wrap dresses would be great for you.
Ooh, okay. Wrap dresses.
Something that's like a midi,
Ooh,
MIDI.
like a DVF?
A DVF would be great.
Oh, I've never had
but
a DVF.
also, she's
going to have a Target.
She is going to do a Target collaboration. She tends to do a lot of prints, which I think prints can be tricky.
Yeah.
I think, solids and also, contour paneling, which is a great little trick for people that are wanting to, appear maybe more slim than they are, people do with jackets all the time, blazers. So, you have the contour of the interior is one color and the exterior is another color. So you can do that with a jacket, you can do that with a coat, but sometimes things are paneled in that way for that reason.
Yeah. See, I don't know any of this. So this is really, you're probably like, duh. Like,
no, not at all.
This is great.
No, I don't
This
think it's
is
common
so
knowledge.
helpful.
No, I don't think it's common knowledge at all.
All right. And then since when I'm up a couple LBs, my instinct is probably just to wear something black. What are your thoughts on that? Should you just wear the black? Yeah, just like do the black thing.
What's most important, I always say like the clothes are the icing. Like if the cake sucks, like it's still gonna taste horrible. So like you're the cake. Yeah. You're the best part.
Oh,
so
and I taste good. Yeah.
So you need to feel great. You need to feel great because honestly, if you wear something that you don't feel great in, you'll be able to tell, and you'll be uncomfortable all night, and you know.
Yeah. Okay.
And then you can't do what you came to do. I mean,
which is work the room.
Exactly.
Oh my God, I love
and not give any. I'm not bidding on any silent auction items.
Nope.
At that party because
she's gonna be in the corner, but Annie's gonna just like walk in her paneled wrap dress and just buy the whole store, buy the whole table.
I'm just gonna be spitting bits.
Yeah.
Just doing my jokes,
wheeling and dealing.
Yes. Oh, I love it. Okay, well, you might be
advice.
like, I can't believe that, but like that, just a crash course in going through that conversation is so helpful for me.
Yeah. Also, I want to mention there's a great website that's size inclusive called Dia & Co. DIA and Co.
Okay.
They actually bought another brand that was the first of its kind called 11 Honore, who partnered with really lovely contemporary brands and high-end designers to create things that people that aren't a size 4 can wear.
Dia and Co.
And Co. So you'll find brands that you're familiar with, that everything from, your like I said, mid-level designer. So you're, Tanya Taylor, which would be it would be a great brand for you too,
This
Annie.
is unbelievable.
Cool.
And I think that you can get personal styling through them as well.
Oh my gosh.
But brands like Brandon Maxwell, so higher end brands.
Yeah.
And I worked with 11 Honore quite a bit when it first came out. I think we had an event here. I did several trunk shows for them here. But so you can see the 11 Honore collection. But then there's other brands available as well, and people that create things, because what people don't realize is like when you scale a pattern past a size 14, the way you scale it has to be different. You can't scale a pattern that's for a size 18 the same way you scale a pattern for a size 6.
So that's traditionally why brands haven't been it's expensive.
It's expensive.
Okay.
It's expensive. It's not just people being douchey.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've used the word douche 3 times now.
I've loved
That's
every
okay.
second.
I love it.
Sorry.
Nope. I loved it. It was so
Anyway,
funny.
yeah.
This is okay. So
This is such an education.
So Stylist was the bathing suit brand.
EST.
I'm going to put this all on Instagram.
EST, yes, exactly.
EST, yeah. They have literally hit me like 10 times in the last week. So
Maybe you need to buy
Go
one.
them.
These
Yeah,
are
go
such
them.
good pieces of advice.
Yeah.
But
They
it
are.
sounds like your number one piece of advice is like it all starts inside.
Oh, absolutely.
Like and I think we know that.
Yeah.
But it's so good to hear it from someone who's doing this at the highest level.
Yeah, I think, it's definitely all inside. But listen, the reality is too, it's like getting someone, if you really need that outfit for whatever it is, whether
like
you're
something task oriented.
Get someone in there who's a professional. I mean, if you really want that, I do think that there's an element of that can get you one step closer to being like, oh my gosh, I am beautiful. Like, and be able to see it through the eyes of the person who's helping you. I mean, a friend of mine who actually, a real estate agent in town who sold me my condo, when I did the 11 Honore trunk show, she came and bought some things, and she tried on this Christian Siriano dress, and she was like, I feel like I could go on a date. Like, she didn't feel like she could go on a date because she didn't feel good about herself.
That was another
clothes.
that was another answer
and so
people wrote
clothes
in.
can be a tool to help heal you in certain areas.
Oh my gosh.
But it doesn't mean you still have you can't also simultaneously work on what's going on inside.
Yeah. I love that.
I love that.
Thanks. Tell me why you think T Swift and Kanye was an inside job.
Well, so listen, I can't say that she knew about it ahead of time, but I was backstage at that event. And because the All American Rejects were performing, and I remember standing in their dressing room, looking at the monitor, being like, wait, what's happening? And I remember he also walked the carpet with a bottle of cognac. It was just very set up-y.
Okay.
And then when it happened, I looked at one of the production assistants who had the whole, mic headset on. And I was like, and my eyes were, bugging out of my head because it was when, he came on and took the award away from her and all that moment. And he looked at me and said, nothing happens on this show that we don't know about.
So when she was like, I think it might be an inside job, you're like, I know it's an inside job.
It was in some capacity. Now, am I saying Taylor Swift knew it and her, and played along? I don't know that. Maybe. But I do know that MTV knew that was going to happen.
I could see Kanye. I could see,
I'm speechless. I got nothing. I am speechless. That is because that was one of those moments where it's like, I knew exactly where I was at a bar in Hoboken with one of my friends from college.
Right.
Like, I knew exactly where I was when it happened. I'm like, wait, whoa.
Yeah.
It's happened. And also, like, Single Ladies was my favorite song, and it didn't get the.
I mean,
but
and also it's her career catapulted at that point.
Oh,
100%.
you're right. I got to get home and tell Andre this.
Yeah, this is crazy.
Did you know Tiffany knows my husband from the gym?
From the gym.
I just stopped myself from doing another hang loose. But did you know that Andre?
It's really an underused gesture.
not
so.
with Annie.
Well, I'm just glad I get to just see it.
Did you know that Andre is like a diehard Taylor Swift fan?
Oh, I didn't know.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like we went the first year we were dating. He got tickets. This is gonna happen where I can't tell the story because I'm laughing too hard.
Oh God, not again.
He got tickets to the Red Tour, and he was trying to impress me, but really it was like one of those selfish gifts where really it's like for him,
Oh yeah.
So we went to the Red Tour and we were in the pit, and it was us and then 13-year-olds and their dads who took them to the concert and they were like Nepo babies or something and got pit passes.
Yeah.
And so it was just all these dads standing on the perimeter watching Andre, like a 13-year-old girl, try to get to like the catwalk to touch Taylor Swift, and me just like, oh my God.
That is crazy.
I was like, he's gonna get beat up by one of these dads. He's like elbowing 13-year-old girls out of the way to get Taylor Swift.
Oh That's hysterical.
So
wow. Well,
that's amazing.
I feel like this. I don't know. I feel like that could really put us on the map. That story being broken on the Great Imposters Podcast, like that.
Yes,
is
I
massive.
assume you mean the story of Andre being a huge Taylor Swift fan.
Sorry, no, I'm still thinking about this.
Well, I mean, talking about the Great Imposter, like maybe one of them was also an imposter.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
maybe.
Like faking it.
Just faking it. Wow, I love that. I love everything about that story.
Thank you so much.
Oh my God,
Yeah,
this
you're
was so
welcome.
much fun. Is there anything, just like one more like nugget you want to leave our listeners with, or can you just, because I feel like your story is so awesome. It's so
thanks.
inspirational. I love this episode so much. Just like if there's someone sitting there struggling to do the thing that it is they want to do.
Oh gosh,
what advice you'd give them?
Keep going. I mean, if you have a passion, if God's put a passion in your heart for something, just keep going, just keep going.
I love it.
Is there anything you want to promote or anything like that?
Yeah, I have a new business called The Archives. It is a digital and physical archiving with a focus on musicians specifically, which we just launched.
Wow.
So yeah, I'm excited I'm hoping to do an event with CMA during CMA Fest, doing kind of a tag sale as a marketing ploy, because it's kind of like, it's part of our service, but really we have a website, we have an app. But
where can they find it? Where can our audience find it?
TheArchivesNashville.com.
TheArchivesNashville.com.
And so the idea is that like these are works of art that should be preserved.
Absolutely.
So let's archive. Okay,
Yeah.
got it.
So they're stored properly. I mean, I've had so many clients over the course of my career where it's like, my dog slobbered on my $5,000 Tom Ford silk velvet jacket and it's ruined,
Right.
So like stuff like that, you want to keep for posterity. And you look at all of these items, Kurt Cobain's jeans and, Princess Diana's, black sheep sweater and all these things that are selling for astronomical amounts.
Right.
I mean, they wouldn't be selling if they were A, unable to be found, and B, not taken care of. So like you kind of have to be thinking about those things as an artist to preserve your brand and your legacy.
How cool.
I love that. And someday they can even be in they can go to museums and stuff.
Oh, absolutely. And we facilitate all of that for you. So it's like
cool.
a Clueless closet, basically.
I'm like,
so you can interact with all of the stuff on the website.
Wow.
And we're also considering what we are offering as a service for there to be a fan facing kind of museum aspect, subscriber based component of it as well. So people can, pay a fee, go in and see, if they're like a super fan of whomever, and see certain items. The photographer that just did Dolly Parton's archive 8,000 wardrobe pieces is on board to be do all our photography. So it's going to be top notch.
Congrats!
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, I'm excited. It's kind of my retirement plan.
Amazing.
Yeah,
amazing.
Thanks for asking.
Well, this has been amazing. Thank you again, Tiffany, for coming. This has been Joelle.
Yeah.
This has been Annie
And Tiffany.
Woo!
Thank
and we'll
you.
catch you next time.